Can I tell you another cockroach story?
What you got?
So I worked in a hotel in San Francisco. This hotel was built in 1927, and it had a basement in it, right? And and kind of a cool story. Like during Prohibition, the shit. Like I guess it existed during Prohibition because it had like a basement with a stage in it, with a stairway that went up to a stage, and it looked like a nightclub. And then you could see that there used to be like an escape hatch or something in the ceiling that was covered up. But anyway, so I'm kind of bored at work. I'm a luggage monkey, carrying luggage in a hotel. So I'm bored as fuck. I'm down in the basement, just fucking off, killing time. And I got a walkie-talkie, so if they need me, they can come get me or whatever. And I go down there and kind of walking around, exploring this creepy old building, and I see this cockroach on its back, and I kick it, and it fucking slides along the floor like 15, 20 feet, hits something, and then the thing lands on its feet and it runs at me, dude.
Oh man.
And I ran like a bitch. I'm like, ah! You fucking ran as fast as I could. Oh shit. And then the next time I go down there, I fucking go down and there's this fucking one cockroach eating another cockroach.
What?
I'm like, God damn. Yeah, and they're like 2.5 inches long. These fucking monsters.
This is something else. Because they really say they're survivors, man. Like those
Yeah,
tortoises. Excuse me. Them there's something with the shell and maybe in their design allows them to like just take incredible amounts of pressure, because
that, no, they don't need much water. They can live
wow.
for 80, 90 years, 100 years, right?
I learned about I studied electronics a while back, and they said how they can stay in TVs and what have you for years. And I said, wait a minute, that sounds like the dry seeds of life, that we plant, like strawberries or whatever. What is it that makes them unique to be able to live and others
Right?
to die? Like those fossils we find, why why can't those come to life? So I'm going to look that up tonight and see what the difference is with that. Why do they have?
Wouldn't we?
That's the
Yeah.
first time I ever
Wouldn't
thought of
you
that.
think? Wouldn't you think we'd be sucking out some fucking giant tortoise venom or DNA and checking it
Exactly.
out and seeing why they live to be 100 and fucking something years old and we die at 60 or 70?
That is. That's the first time I thought about that tonight. This morning, I
Right?
mean. I said tonight. Yeah,
That's That's the
wow.
fascinating shit about the whole DNA thing, dude. We're living in a whole different world. But I'm not down with when it comes to soil health. So I'm not down with DNA when it comes to soil health because everything that I've learned has said that GMOs are not the shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
The World Health Organization even went so far as to say the only method that we can look forward to feeding the growing population of the world with is local organic farming.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep.
And
And
it
they
doesn't
should.
even, regenerative, because organic could be done in a damaging way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it has to be with love for the earth and regenerating, not taking, but leaving more than we take, right?
They had a soil sample done, and they showed all the worms and these different organisms that were in the soil, and it was a beautiful thing. I said, and they showed different versions of it, but it had to be something that was part of the natural selection of life, natural order of life.
Oh yeah.
This, the GMO or the other version that they do to get that soil um, to do anything was toxic to us. And I said, there you go. I mean, we're supposed to play off nature. Nature is designed designed to heal itself if we work with nature. But
Mm-hmm.
we try to create something else off of that. It always comes back to bite us in the ass, and
Yeah, like speaking about that, like how does nature do it? Nature just drops shit and shit accumulates and that turns into soil, right? But what do we do as gardeners? I mean, I don't mean you and me, but like what does the average US person do? They fucking mow and fucking weed whack and do all this shit, but then they clean it up, quote unquote, clean it up and like put it in a compost bin or something. And that should be put like either in a compost pile or just left where the fuck it is.
yep. Hey,
Right? Like we're learning more benefit by just chop it and drop it. Leave it where it is. And then it breaks down slowly. And if there's little tree branches, those create nice microbial environments for mycorrhizae and all kinds of beneficial fungal to develop. That helps feed the soil. And one thing some people don't understand maybe is that it's the fungal elements that are feeding the plants, not the soil, right? You need fungal and microbial activity to transfer the nutrients from the soil to the plant.
because this conversion is taking place at different levels with different species in
Right.
that soil. Every time
That's
they get a
it.
bite of, and they add an enzyme or subtract something that's needed or create a phosphorus or whatever, and all of that comes together to create that rich soil that we enjoy. And get this
That's it.
incredible uh, net and yield of fruit or vegetation that we get from the soil. Uh, and it's nice when they show the farm. They see that farm down there, and then they do the what is it like to show the root, the seed germinate, and then come from the soil, and then come above.
Right.
And to know
Beautiful.
nowadays that we can do it with water, like you did the standing one. I want to do that one day, like with water and like, what is it called, hydroponic. Uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, watch it grow that particular way, or start to see. But there's places like in Japan, I believe, and countries like that that actually do it all the way. They just keep.
I could help you with that because I did hydroponics for a long time.
Oh, you have. Okay.
Oh yeah. 20 years.
Fascinating. I said all these years that I actually had to work that land at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, um, and then to see how it's done. I said, yes, we could have done it like that, and people are doing it like that. It's fascinating.
Well, I think the best of both worlds is to start them hydroponically and then finish them in the soil because you can't beat the flavor you get from soil. But
Yeah.
but for certain things, you could just have a greenhouse that you do fully hydroponic, and you could produce all year long with lighting because the lighting will keep it warm enough.
That's good. Good stuff. Good stuff, man.
Lighting and a couple heaters, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a really cold place, one heater on either side.
If
Yeah.
you yeah, that's something to connect with at another moment there. You
For sure.
questions. Well, I guess I'll just call you, man, or catch up with sometime in the weeks to come. This is so random and great. I got my pencil out here and writing notes. 2:35.
Yeah, me, me too. This is fantastic. Um, what other tricks you got for maintaining soil health?
Uh, I use banana peels.
Bananas. I hear bananas are amazing.
Yeah, something like the phosphorus. I mentioned phosphorus early on. But that's supposed to be good with that. Banana, orange peel, and what else I use? The dog crap. When Brandy finishes her shit, I scoop it up and put it
Really?
in. Yep. Hmm.
That all breaks down, huh? Cool.
Yeah, it breaks down, and of course, the way I'm doing now out of the planter box, you and everything is grown and what have you. So when I read that article, or not read it, saw the video yesterday of the Africans creating these boxes that they crap in and go, there's some health concerns in there, but the soil too is also, if it's done right, is a cleaner. So it's not like because the villagers were complaining about how they're eating each other's shit, and I said, yeah,
Yeah.
you would think one perspective that's how it would be, but in the other regard, it changes. Things change, especially if they're healthy. They don't have anything, kind of
Break,
disease going on.
breaks down, yeah.
Yeah,
What
the
I
soil.
read is that what I read is that it needs like 6 months to break down, so you should do it in your compost and then use the compost in the garden.
Right, the eggshells you mentioned and all that. You take it,
Or
yeah,
or no, this article even said to go piss in your compost pile.
mm-hmm. A lot of the stuff,
Yeah,
and
and
they recommend people that are on medication and stuff like that to kind of,
to not do it right.
to not do it right. And I said, man, they got their thing down to science. But when we think about, I said science. But when we think about it, yeah, because if it lives, it gives. If we're contributing
So
to it,
that's right.
it's
You
going to
got to
fall
think
with
like that.
that flow of life. Mm-hmm. And I
You
said,
got to
okay,
think what's in your bloodstream. Is it? Yep. Okay. Cool. That's good. Yep.
man. And the time when the season comes or whenever it's needed, you have right there on tap our own makeshift compost. I'm sitting here, so many thoughts are running through my mind as I'm out there in my mind in the garden. It's I just can't believe that most people don't get a chance to plant something, you know. And it's sad too that
Yeah.
some kids aren't in school now because they're missing this. Because I know there's
And
parents
I'd
that
like
can't hit the screen.
see.
Don't.
My goal is to help people with that because like there is no like my yard's too small. Okay. Well, show me the dimensions of your yard, and I'll help you design a garden for that yard.
Mm-hmm.
That is. I just did it right on the soil. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I asked you
And,
if
and
you
then
looked at
and
any
then
grants.
I created perimeters with like raised, so there I kind of made raised beds right on the soil, but then I just built it up, right? So
Okay.
I would take like I'd build a frame around an area and be like, okay, I'm gonna build up this area, and then I'd dump a fuck ton of dead leaves and then put soil on top of it and let that set for a little bit.
It's,
It became amazing, man. The worms were loving it.
yeah, it's fascinating little creatures and guys. They go in
Yeah,
and they get other organisms in there and they just eat and convert it and their soil just becomes beautiful. Most people,
yeah,
when the soil isn't right, it gets a fungus on it, and then that becomes problematic. But when the ecosystem, that little system is in place, well, you get some soil that's nice and dark and rich,
oh
and
man,
here comes the
I was
vegetation.
able I was able to put my arm down like elbow deep
Mm-hmm.
after about a year and a half of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, anything I threw in there grew. I said, this is all right. Of course, you got
Yeah,
to get space because some plants are huge and take a lot of water, but hey, it's worth it. And it is still worth it. I think I got probably about 4 yards out there. Not much, but four
but
yards.
you know what I think the important thing is getting back to what One with the Earth said is that how do we get people to feel the urgency? So like how do we get people to feel like guilty for how much they use so that they want to contribute a little bit? You know what I mean?
Take away the toys, and that doesn't come without a cost, of course. But if the and then you're gonna have to ask your neighbor, which engages us to wanting to reconnect. Hopefully, not in a crazy way. People will be conscious for a while, but that is also time to be able to have conversation or have leadership in place and say, "I see why your neighbor's important," or I encourage you to talk to your neighbor so that you can share resources and then people can kind of come to conclusion in conversation.
And to yeah, to open doors to conversations like this. Like
yeah,
let's do a mutual garden.
let's do a mutual garden. There you go. And it started a few
Right.
years ago in Georgia. There's places where they have these art communities. I was really proud of Georgia, considering that they had said because they, rodents and people weren't maintaining it. I get that part of it. They started gardening again, and of course, when Michelle Obama came into office, she jumped in the front of, heading that. So that made it trendy.
Right.
It should have been in place anyway.
I think it's already happening. I think that the motivation is out there. We just can't see it. Like the disease destruction that's happening to the human population, to the world, it's a direct cause of our separation with the earth. And I think we just need to get people to just look at that. We don't really have to teach them anything. The nature will teach on its own. We just have to say, look at that. Look at what we did. Look at what it cost. That's it. And people will then be able to see, like, oh man, we're fucking up. We need to do something differently. We just need to stop.
Let's see what One with the Earth is saying. Kind of like when the public en masse saw the picture of the Earth from the moon. That kind of started the environmental movement, right?
Yep.
Like, oh fuck, we're on that little planet way over there with nothing else. Oh shit.
The public on mass.
Yeah, we better take care of this. So I agree. Like, I think the shock and awe thing is awesome, and I agree that there is no substitute for pictures. A picture is worth 1,000 words, 1,000,000 words, 1,000,000,000 words if you get the right picture, right? And that's why that documentary, Chasing Ice, is so important. This award-winning photographer, Paul Balog, went on a 5-year expedition to put this thing together, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. He caught the largest capping event, which is like an ice chunk breaking off, ever recorded in history. And it's the size of Manhattan.
And this other documentary had the guy that was born in the USA.
Which one?
The actor. I'm trying to think of his name. He's a pretty good actor. He was behind the hemp. Yeah, he does.
Oh, Woody Harrelson.
There you go. Yeah, he was doing that one about
Love that guy.
Earth. Mm-hmm. I got to see this.
Which one is this?
What I'll do is I'll get that information and get it to you.
I love Woody. Man, he's done a bunch of cool stuff. He's all about hemp, and and he's a big pothead too. But whatever. But he's about how hemp can heal and save the planet, and how it can replace like countless products that are made from petroleum.
Yeah, I said, man, you're spot on. He starts off with saying, like, I think I wish the world would end or something like that. I give up. And then he spins it back around to where he didn't really give up, but he goes into showing us some of the things we were touching on, but more in depth with the visuals, and it was really good. It was really good.
Well, see, Joe, what's his name and me, we were both at that. We both admitted that at one point we were at our wits' end, right? Like, I said, fuck, I want a comment. Bring a comment on, right? I don't mean that. I just mean, fuck, this is a heavy weight to bear.
Yeah,
There's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to do.
And I love how he said we're someone's babies, because I say that a lot in my thinking throughout the years. And to hear that, I said, well, somebody else is thinking we're on that same mind of, of thinking about what's going on in the grand scheme of things. That's beautiful.
Universal consciousness, brother.
There it is. Universal.
Once you start tapping into universal truths, right? You start finding other people that are saying the same shit.
And the same thing. I was like, man, with somebody's baby. Did everybody forget?
Yeah, you know what actually helps is these documentaries that show like deforestation or the cutting down of the Amazon. Like first they'll show you these beautiful animals, these exotic animals, and the way nature behaves in those exotic places. And then they'll show you, oh, by the way, this is how much land there was, and this is how it's looking after we've been cutting down the trees. And then they'll show you how it's exterminating all those animals, all those different species and everything. So it kind of gives you a way to connect with these things and admire the beauty. And then it shows you, oh, by the way, all these couches and these houses and all the stuff that we're getting in excess is killing all that beauty.
Yeah, One with the Earth. Have you ever seen the documentary Baraka about exactly that? And I don't believe there's any dialogue. I think it's all just imagery and soundtrack. But it starts off just showing the most beautiful places on Earth, and there's a fuck ton of them, right? Starts showing all these amazing places, and you're just like, wow. And then it starts showing like clear cutting and factory farming and like fish farming, and like you're just like, what the fuck have we done? What have we done? Fucking greed run amok. It's not the right way to do it. We need to, and so this is where it goes back to fuck the 1%. It's greed run amok, and the people need to take control, and the people need to be in control of their food source. And if you're not in control of the food source, how much of your own food source and your own water source, how much real freedom do you have?
It was great when all the people signed off on being mindful of doing something and planting and taking action. I said, now let's see how this plays out in the years to come, because it is an emergency. Didn't think about it, but when they went past 80% to 40% to 30%, and they could show it to us, I was like, yeah. Because I was wondering about the climate before I even could see some of the stuff that they'd share in their shows. I was wondering just by observation in life. I said, man, winters are changing. They're not as cold. Upstate New York, then they almost come on a blizzard. And then it started getting less and less. And everyone was trying to theorize what was what was really going on. We are all making that.
I like how you mentioned that part about Woody saying hemp would save the world. Can't remember if it was like Joe Rogan or somebody that mentioned like a way to stop wars, and rather than throwing bombs, it would be like throwing down like bombs of cannabis, marijuana, just like pouring it down. It's almost like in these riots. Imagine if people started throwing smoke bombs with marijuana in them, and everybody would just chill the fuck out. I would imagine, right? They'd just be like, "Oh, hey, peace and love, brother. All right, let's go home. Let's keep it cool." But the real people that really need some of this stuff are these politicians and policymakers and lobbyists and these people that are being sold to to these businesses. Those are really the ones that are controlling us. But until enough people wake up, then they'll all stop.
People will wake up eventually, but you know what? Apparently, we're here to help people wake up. I think that's why we're chiming. That's why we're jiving together. So let's bear that weight together, and then it's not such a tough weight to bear. To bear.
Because when they made farming expensive, and they try to controlled and put it in a box, a microwave box, and that movement came right back around to what really need to be in place.
Yeah. And the irony on the way politics is right now, with Trump people charging the White House and everything, and maybe the Capitol's coming up, that might work in our favor for, peaceful change. Sure as fuck isn't going to work in their favor.
We've been in this place before, huh? We've been in this place before.
A couple times.
Nixon era was one.
Yeah.
Of course, time after that.
Nixon was in the White House shitting his pants. What are we going to do if they get through the fences? Or no, what did Nixon say? What are those buses for? And then his aide said, well, those buses are circled around in case the public gets through the fences so that they can't come kill us.
I'm out, man.
Right on, man. It's another brilliant conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Popping in like that. Hey, the collector. Wait a minute here.